Hey there guys, what's going on? So yes, it is I, yours truly here, back off of my latest hiatus, as I put in my last video with that unfortunate little rhyme there. And I'm back to once again deliver to you more excellent music, more excellent vinyl, more excellent reviews, more just general awesomeness that has come across my table or will soon come across my table or my blanket, as the case may be here. And there's just going to be a lot more of everything. So, without any further ado, I figured since we are coming off of a little bit of a break here, we got to knock the rust off. We got to tap the dirt off of the spikes and step back into the box here. We got to get used to things. I thought, why not step it up a little bit instead of taking it easy? Why not do a little bit of a double bill here? We're going to rush right into it with a brand new 7-inch, followed up by an even more brand new 12-inch of a brand new live record that is very, very awesome, both on vinyl, of course, as you might have guessed by the whole 7-inch thing. But without further ado, first up, we have the 7-inch, of course, which comes courtesy of a man who has just released his brand new latest record. A very divisive record is a word I've used quite a bit here on my channel, at least once or twice, defining quite a bit, to describe it. And since then, and around this whole period of time off of this record that has just come out at the beginning of this month, he's released a bunch of 7-inch singles of sorts. Not really singles because they're not for a record, but songs, just a couple of songs per 7-inch per month, like a whole thing, and sort of shadowing, echoing his old prolific ways of just putting material out all the time. And it's a very interesting little pursuit to get into. So we're just not going to ramble on about that, but rather show off this Ryan Adams Jacksonville 7-inch. Now, this is the, I want to say, I believe this is the third of the Pac-Sam, third or fourth. I'm not even going to quote a number because there have been other little things in the series, but there has been, of course, the Give Me Something Good 7-inch, the 1984 7-inch, the Jacksonville 7-inch. I can't give you the exact number in the whole grand series, but it is the third one that I've picked up this year, at the very least. And it is soon to be followed by ones for No Shadow, and When You Laugh, If You Laugh When, and a whole bunch of other things, just month by month. And I'm not sure when those are coming. I know when they're coming out, but I don't know if Pac-Sam is going to... It's a whole rigmarole. Point being, this is Jacksonville, and if speculation yields to anything, you know, it's hard to say exactly what these tracks are from. Jacksonville and I Keep Running are the serious parts of the 7-inch. Walked By Pants, or however you're supposed to say this, is obviously the joke track, far and away the joke track of the set, and is not really something I really care to listen to. But the serious side of it is really interesting. It seems to be sort of a salute to Ryan's hometown. I don't know if any of these are purportedly, you know, supposed to be from the Glyn Johns sessions that he ended up discarding at the cost of $100,000, all that. But I think it's a very interesting little excursion to familiar Ryan territory. I wouldn't say these songs are marquee, you know, like lost tracks that are amazing that should be on an album. Like they're solid B-sides at best. Definitely, I think Jacksonville is the better of the two, but I think it's an interesting visit to familiar territory. It's also interesting that these tracks sort of have a country-ish tinge to them, given Ryan's so obvious kind of distancing, kind of feeling about country music in general, and so much of his roots being in a country band like Whiskey Town, all of that stuff, how he's kind of discarded it, but it's interesting that that's returned. But to give you an indication here, for anybody who didn't get this, of course, by now, that is the cover. That is the back side right there, with, as I said, Jacksonville and I Keep Running, and Walked By Pants, I guess. Produced by Ryan and Mike Viola, engineered Charlie Stavish, Pac-Sam, who played on which track and everything. I'm sure it's one of the finest credits of Ben Montench's career, from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers and a few Ryan collaborations, that he managed to play piano on the joke track Walked By Pants. I'm sure that was a fine moment for him. And inside here we have the Paxam 45, which does not feature dogs, cats, golden sceneries, or what have you. It's rather just a standard black. I like actually how this is pressed. It looks very nice. Sort of has a video game-ish, dare I say, pinball feel to the font almost. And that's kind of it. No real lyric sheets or anything more in-depth like 1984 kind of had a little bit more going on for it. But it's a pretty cool sound nonetheless if you can find it, and definitely go and look for No Shadow and If You Laugh When in the months to come. I myself am still trying to figure out what site to get them off of and whether Paxam is going to carry them. Blah blah blah, all the above, the usual first-person problem or first-world Ryan Adams fan struggles, giant hashtag problems, etc. Moving on, as we have a little bit more time here, we're going to get into the meat of this video. We're going to try to make this some quick meat, but it's the meat of the video, nevertheless. For this, we have a great 12-inch. It is, today, as of this recording right now, it is the release day for this particular record. I received it yesterday, courtesy of Warner Brothers Music, who I have a great deal of issues with and a lot of complaints about. And as I now think about it, will probably be the reason you don't see any bonus videos of any song work or anything off of this particular album. But nevertheless, it is worth featuring because it is by one of my favorite new artists, a guy who I discovered in, I want to say it was 2012, when his album came out, his debut full-length album, as opposed to the EP work that was out around that time. And it was a really interesting effort because it mixed Austin blues, so much blues work, with kind of R&B and soul and pop and some kind of bombacity, that's not even a word, just kind of full-throated kind of just a mixture of things that had blues purists kind of slagging off on this guy, saying he wasn't a purist, he wasn't Buddy Guy and Stevie Ray and all this stuff. The guy's got the chops. He's not just Jimi Hendrix all day. He's all these blues guys. He's got a great soul feel. He's got an amazing vocal. It is none other than Gary Clark Jr. with Gary Clark Jr. Live. Taken over the several, like the last 12, 14 months of touring, different songs in different places, covers, songs from the record, great songs from the record, Next Door Neighbor Blues, Travis County, When My Train Pulls In, Numb, Ain't Messing Around, Black and Blue, which was the title of that record, along with covers and old blues stuff as well. Really just a great mix of listening to a guy. It's like this is a guy in the modern era, a young gun for that matter, who's carrying on the works of like a Buddy Guy and B.B. King and guys, who imparted such mastery of the guitar, such mastery of what they did. And these guys are still pushing it out there, but it's they're heading towards the twilight, per se, if that was, the word you want to call it. And it's like, it's time for that next generation to really embrace the blues, even if the blues is kind of on a downswing right now. And I really see it in this mixture with Gary Clark Jr. It's a beautiful, beautiful show of force and playing and tenacity and emotion and skill. And this guy he just has it. Beautiful gatefold cover, that cover there, of course. Your standard stuff inside here. You got a nice little thing, no lyrics or anything like that, but some cool photos there, which are very awesome. Some thanks, who plays what solos on what song, whose songs are by, etc., etc. The inner record here has a very cool looking little WB inner circle there that actually reminds me of old records from like the 70s and I think even the 80s, some older stuff that I've picked up before in thrift shops and stuff that really reminds me of an old retro style release. Definitely fits in to the Gary Clark Jr. mold. Second LP is much the same way, and no real download card or anything like that, but otherwise it is a tremendous release. It is well pressed. It sounds amazing. Guitars and stuff, they just pop right off the top of it. They roll off the whole thing, and it's really just a magnificent blues are just amazing fusion release of just so many great sounds. And this guy is just, if he wasn't number one on my list of aspirations to go see in concert, he just went to go into being tied with himself. He's an asterisk with himself at the top of that list. Gary Clark Jr. followed by Gary Clark Jr. again, because I want to see this guy so bad. This is just, and this is an awesome display of what his live talents are like. So definitely, if you like blues, if you like, you know, great guitar solos, if you like a guy who can just make that blues guitar talk and just, you know, can go up to the highs and swing elegantly with the mellow lows, you gotta go with Gary Clark Jr. It's an amazing live release. I cannot recommend it enough. And while the 7-inch of Ryan Adams in Jacksonville, not exactly the most fitting traveling companion genre-wise, I would definitely suggest them both for different reasons. This is more for the collectors, if anything. But this one, this is hot. This is awesome. And if you have not checked out Gary, definitely go and start with either the EP stuff or his first full-length release, Black and Blue, which is amazing. So that is it for this first little vinyl unboxing here. I guess I should have let off by calling it that, for the Ryan Adams Jacksonville 7-inch, followed up by the Gary Clark Jr. live dual gatefold here in this little double header post-hiatus return video on this release day for Gary Clark Jr. and one other thing that I'm still to talk about. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Stay tuned for much more here to come on my channel. And, you know, that's about it.